Okay, so thanks everyone for joining the class. So today is going to be our last class, and I'm going to keep it short. Also a little bit sick, and also probably you are going through exams and other things, so I will try to keep it short. And I will try to talk about something else and about the main lecture. I'm going to post it later after the class, and the problems and about the whatever is about the final exam, I'm going to discuss at the end. Okay, so I'm going to talk about something else, the thing that I think I talked on the first day. Uh, so most of you, if not all, you actually came from the same part of the world, and you have come to US with obviously very big dreams, right? After a lot of planning and years of things, you have landed here with big dreams. Even if you are not from, I know this because I am also, although I'm not from the same country, but I am from the same part of the world, and probably I shared the same thing when I landed in US. And even if you are not on from that part of the world, it's still going forward, you also share the same dreams, like what you want to do next. You are a grad student. Some of you probably have have dreams of doing further things like PhD or something, but I assume like majority of you actually go want to go towards a different direction. So there is the thing, like let's talk about from my experience. So these are the three institutions where I spent whole of my time in US. Uh, I s- I attended the grad school in the University of Texas at Arlington, and I came there for my master's and PhD, and I was there for 5.5 years. So from there, I learned something that actually when I came to US, as I said, like I had big dreams, but it wasn't very much defined. So my dream was much more defined is this institution. So I have like very good memories and fond thoughts from there, from that institution as well as Texas. And then from there, I moved to for the later part, I worked for. Okay, so there only not only I finished my PhD, I also taught 2 semesters there, and then I moved to Microsoft, and majority of my time was spent in Microsoft. So more than 7 years in Microsoft in different teams. Like I was part of Bing first, and then artificial intelligence team, and finally, like major chunk of the last final years is in Microsoft's cloud Azure. And this is my ninth semester in Southern Arkansas University. So what I have seen is many of us, the students who come to US, uh, we come with big dreams, and then we sometimes we don't live up to that dream, and it might be different due to different reasons, and we probably start like kind of like looking for like shortcuts and other stuff. So in Southern Arkansas University, as I said, if you consider summer as just one semester, because sometimes there are like 2 semesters and I have taught both, but I'm considering it as one semester. This is my ninth semester, and I was teaching other subjects most of the time, which was like incredibly satisfying, engaging with the students. But later on, actually, this thought came last year. This was throughout my experience that I've got in my grad years and in my throughout working in Microsoft, that I should teach something that should help the students stick to the initial dream that they had. And I found from my experience, I knew that the only course that is totally aligned with it is algorithm course. Well, once you get into the job, you will start applying other knowledge. Like suppose I was teaching web programming, before, like, so that knowledge also might be helpful in your day-to-day work. But just getting into there actually needs something, a base, and the only subject that we learn in our school is algorithms that actually helps us, but there is a gap there. So we learn a lot of theoretical stuff about algorithms. If you're from the CS background, you probably have already taken algorithms, and you know that we learn a lot of theoretical stuff, a lot of algorithms, other stuff. But when you want to do a job interview or something, they want to test your algorithmic knowledge, but that knowledge is a little bit different than what you were taught. So there is no bridge or connection. So that was my initial thought, and because of that disconnect, many of us don't even try to go into that direction, because the best paying jobs or the bigger companies, it's not like probably we always talk about, by big tech we mean 5-6 companies, but big tech is even bigger than that, maybe 100 companies. But many of us actually just are afraid of that process and of that interview process, and we never try that, so we go take other shortcuts. Well, that makes sense, but obviously what I say is you should always dream big. Okay, so that's the reason I designed this course I in such a way that is not taught anywhere else. Okay, so I tried to give you the theoretical knowledge, uh, as well as give you examples and problems that are very much related to that theoretical knowledge. Well, I know that not all of you, or not every week, you probably could just stick to it, but that's totally fine. But by now, I hope everyone has the basic understanding of how it works, like how you can take this knowledge to the next step, right? Okay, so um, so as I said, my only goal was to tell you to dream big, and there are a lot of steps ahead of you, and this is not all, but this is, I would say, the one of the milestones, or one of the major milestones that you need to uh, like you need to cover, right? So as I said, from preparing your resume to getting a job interview and and then cracking the interview itself, there are multiple steps. Obviously, this was not a preparation course, this was just a theoretical course, but the major things that are involved in that process is the coding interview. So once you obviously, there are steps ahead of getting the interview, that's a different story. But once you get an interview, the major portion of it is a coding interviews, and this is where people actually fail big time, because probably they don't have the directions, and they don't know, like they don't plan. Either they are not, even they are like, either they are not pursuing it, or even they are pursuing it, they're not doing it with proper plans. So that's how I try to follow a plan which covers everything in a coding interview. And once you get into the interview process in a company, uh, 70 to 80% of the questions that you get is some sort of coding. And this tree actually very nicely gives you the idea what type of questions are actually asked in coding interviews. And if you look at this, you'll be surprised that we have actually covered most of them. So you see, we covered arrays and hashing, and then we covered stacks, right? Two pointers. This is actually part of arrays. We we haven't covered this, but this is part of arrays, and I'm going to post two problems from this part for the final. This is just part of arrays. You don't need any more theoretical stuff. Okay, so we covered linked list, sliding window we covered in the last exam, right? Binary search we covered trees, tries we covered, and then priority queues, graphs, right? And dynamic programming we covered both one-dimensional and two-dimensional. You remember we did those longest common subsequence. Those are like 2D grids we filled up, right? So those are like two-dimensional dynamic programming. We learned greedy algorithms also. So and a few things that was not covered. These were like backtracking and intervals. Intervals is actually part of arrays. So the thing is, we still have the theoretical stuff to do backtracking problems, but we still have the theoretical stuff to do intervals problems. So, and this flow chart is actually kind of a building block. So this means which one you should start with, and then from there where you should go. So as you can see that this obviously in the class we didn't learn everything, like we didn't uh, learn to solve all kind of problems, but you now have the major like theoretical knowledge and all that stuff ready to pursue to the next step. Okay, so and as I said, like 70 to 80% of the interview questions are going to be on coding questions and based on your algorithmic knowledge. And then uh, maybe 20 to 30% of the questions are going to be from the system design. So this is not exactly from your algorithm knowledge, uh, but obviously your knowledge of algorithm is going to play a role here, but this is not exactly related. So maybe some sample questions might be, you have watched a lot of YouTube videos this semester, right? So design YouTube. So it's like seems scary. Like YouTube has been designed by thousands of engineers over decades, right? How can you design YouTube in 40 minutes? Yes, that's also a kind of skill. Obviously, you don't have to give them the uh, exact nicest YouTube design, but what they want to see is you have the thinking capability for open-ended questions. That means even for such a big problem, you can come up with a small solution within maybe 30 to 40 minutes. Okay, so see, system design interview is going to be the next part. Maybe 20 to 30% of the your questions might be depending on which level you are, but since all of you are in masters, for you it will be around 20%. So I'm going to just to be aligned with the whole course, I'm going to post a few stuff about system design, videos about the system design interview. You will get a pretty good idea about how those are. And the final part is the behavioral interview. So this is to test that how you behave in different situations. So even in the grad school, some of you may have job experience, or most of you are from the school, but even you doing the coursework in the school, you have faced different situations. You had to do projects with your teammates, and sometimes you had to do projects by yourself, or you had to deal with different situations. So not all the courses were smooth, right? Sometimes you had faced obstacles. Some courses your grades were not good, or you overcame some situations, right? So all these situational kind of things, just they want to test you that if some kind of situation arises in your work, how mentally stiff you are to handle those, or how what your thought process are. So this is around like 10% of the interviews. um, 10% it will cover around 10% of the whole interview process. So obviously this is not part of the algorithm thing. I'm just giving you the breakdown how an interview looks like. Okay, so from my experience, I had obviously, since I'm working in Microsoft, I had to go through all of these once I got into Microsoft. So I have like all the experiences and also the stories there, right? Okay. And then uh, I have my experiences from other interviews. So Microsoft was not the only place I had interviewed. I had interviewed other companies. Suppose I had interviewed MathWorks in Boston. Interview process was a little bit different, but that was also a nice experience, which actually helped me overcoming other interviews, the preparation and the looking at the company culture there, everything else. Okay, so I don't know how this came. Anyways, this is okay. I had stories from other interviews. Suppose these are the major ones which I had nailed, but these were very, very important because I had learned something in these interviews. VMware, obviously, all of these interviews had the same format, those coding questions and a little bit of system design and a little bit of behavioral questions. And also, I had offers from a couple of times from Amazon. uh, Today I'm keeping it short. I'm not going to the through the whole story. uh, and also one of the other memorable interview was from PayPal, because when I was interviewing at the beginning, most of the interviews are done in person, but this interview particularly was done, all the rounds were done online, so this was a different learning curve for me. And that's not all. Like, it's not that I actually cleared all the interviews. There were some failures, and those failures are actually special stories. Suppose this was my first interview after I graduated. This was in New York, and I failed it. And Bloomberg is also very harsh. So they have like maybe 4 rounds of interview, but if you like fail at any round, they walk you out. So after second round, I was walked out. So I couldn't even finish my interview. Okay. And that was also, I also learned a lot from there, because their interview patterns were very different. Uh, Although it was on-site interview, uh, uh, like usually if you go to the on-site, you write code on the on a board, or if you're online, you are writing code on the computer, right? But that was an on-site interview, and they give you a thin pad, so it's not even a white pad, and they give a pencil, and there are like three interviewers around you asking you to code there. And I couldn't actually understand what they're saying because they had a accent from some part of the world, and I totally couldn't get it. But that was also a interesting learning curve for me. And obviously I had failures, like I failed to clear the interview at Facebook or Meta. Okay, so all these things, I'm not going to details, but hopefully someday I will go into details. I am talking about all of these because I want to some of the you may have questions like, yes, I have some knowledge, but what's next? How can I actually do it? So what my plan was initially was to start supporting the students throughout the course, and then there is a lot of things involved in the later part, right? So for the actual preparation, so what I'm going to do is I want to keep the support continue even after the semester ends. So I'm going to arrange 2 or 3 sessions in December and January. The topic of the session is how to chase your dream career. And so what you need to do is I'm going to, in the chat, I'm going to post the link. Uh, just add your contact info so that I can send you emails about the session. So you can attend the session, and in the session, it will be nothing about the course now. It will be wholly focused on uh, how to prepare and chase your dream career. And this is going to be for everyone, beginner, intermediate, advanced. So after doing the course, I understand even after doing the course, still you may feel that you're in the beginner stage. Yes, obviously, And some may think, okay, I have knowledge now, I'm probably in the intermediate. I hope, like, I can guarantee, even if you think you are in the beginner stage, I know that actually you're in the intermediate stage. So it will be for everyone, like beginner, intermediate, advanced, and everyone who can join. Like, I know some of you are graduating, like maybe next semester, or some are even graduating this semester, and some are graduating 1 year from now. But this is for everyone, because the earlier you start, the better. Uh, Actually, this is not some kind of preparation in the last, as I said, algorithms and this kind of building this kind of knowledge doesn't come overnight. If you are studying like 15 minutes every day, it's better than studying 12 hours at the last moment. Okay. So it's a concept, like building is like a math. So if you have done maths in your school, you know that you have to practice all the time. It's not like math is not like other subjects, right? We had done English, literature, or other subjects which we put so much effort in the last minute and did well. But to do well in the math, that wasn't going to work, right? So algorithms is like that. So even if your graduation is 1 year from now, still you are welcome. And obviously, this is the best time for you to know about these things. So and also, not don't keep it to yourself. Feel free to share with all your friends, um, within in the school or outside the school, who is pursuing the same thing. Okay. Maybe with from the computer science background, or even non-computer science background, who wants to get into the tech. Okay, so I have shared the link in the chat. Please put down your information there. And that's it. So I will keep this thing up to this point. I kept like 30 minutes for this. We are on time. Next, about the final exams. In the final exams, we are going to have uh, just a few topics. So as I said, I will post 2 videos about system design, just to give you the basic knowledge of system design things and how algorithmic concept works there. And then I am also going to post 3 problems. So those are going to be based on arrays. As you know, we learned arrays and linked list at the beginning of the semester, right? So those are going to be on arrays and linked list, and uh, a couple of ones from graphs. So that's all that we're going to cover in the final exam. Yep. So yeah. So last thing, just fill out that your contact information there, so that I can send you when the time and the link when this is going to happen. And okay, and before the final exam, you will get the weighted average of everyone, will get the weighted average where you are standing. So you will get a pretty good idea about like where you are, uh, like how many, because different exams had different points. So if you just add them up, it doesn't make sense now. But I will just give them the weighted average, and then you will know that like within 100 how many you have got so far, and probably how much you need more in the finals. So that's it for today, and keep an eye to the notice that I'm going to send, and also the few clips that I'm going to post. And and last thing, did I post the exam time?
Yes, sir.
Anyone?
Yes, sir. It
I
was.
said it is
Yes.
on 12, but did I post the time?
It is at
Uh,
1 p.m.
Okay, I probably can't hear you.
It is at 1 p.m., sir.
Oh, it's
December.
1 p.m. Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Sir, is it a Central Time or Pacific Time? Because sometimes it makes us a bit confused. So.
Oh, okay. So it's Central Time. It's Central Time actually. So I
Okay.
think for one of the exams I had
Yeah.
When I was setting, actually, I had set it. Yeah, I had set it wrong. So for one of the exams, I made the mistake. But so mistake means I even didn't put it in the Pacific time. Uh, yeah, I had put. Yeah, I thought like 9 p.m. Central Time, and then I thought that probably from my end I'm seeing the Pacific time, so I put 7 p.m. Pacific time, but actually that was Central Time. Okay, yeah, so it's Central Time. It's 1 p.m. Central Time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Because in our group, I see some of the students are asking the time because sometimes it's a different time zone, although we are US, but that's why.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's always like it's always Central Time. Yeah.
Sir,
Professor,
is
is there any reason you are going to conduct at 1 p.m.? Usually you do at night, right? So
Yeah, so I'm doing at 1 because I don't know, like few students reached out to me telling me that they're traveling or something. Some of you have flights and other things, maybe next day. I'm not sure if anyone has flight on the same day. So I just wanted to do it early so that if you are traveling or something, you have some time for yourself.
Sir, is it possible to shift it to 5 p.m. or 6 maybe?
Let's keep it at 1 because I already have announced it, right?
Yeah, 1 p.m. would be
yeah,
fine, Professor,
Yeah,
because
because
we are like
is
okay
I
with
think
that. We are prepared for that.
yeah, okay, yeah, because
1 is fine.
other people may have planned around it. As you remember, like
Yeah,
if I said
with the
12th
1
and
p.m.
then I changed it to 11th, and some student emailed me that saying that okay, we had other plans. So yeah, let's keep it on 1. Yeah, I am open with any time, but I think since it's already has been announced, it will may create problem for others. So let's stick to 1.
Yeah, 1 is fine, Professor, for everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
So any other question, any other feedback, just feel free to tell me.
Professor, regarding grades, you said grades will be based on weighted average, right? So each exam carries same weight, Professor? Because every
Yeah,
exam
so
has, right?
I think I will take 5 out of these 6 exams,
Okay.
top 5, and all of them will have same weight. Yes, same weight, and but the final is going to have a little bit higher weight than these exams.
Okay, Professor. Yeah, thank you. That's what I wanted to confirm because yesterday's exam have only 20 marks. So I was
Yeah.
confused. Yeah, thank you, Professor.
Yes.
Yeah, Professor, how about the pattern for the final exam? Is it like the previous exams?
It will be the same like the previous exams.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and one last thing. Once I just keep on saying it, but I actually focus much on it just to prepare well for the exams. Whenever I am posting the clips, start watching like as early as possible. That will actually help you a lot. If you watch it for the second time, actually it will help you more. So don't wait for the last minute. And I know on those last days you will have more exams. So start watching as early as possible. That's one suggestion for you. I've always like repeated it. Any other thing? Okay, so okay, let's end the session now. Okay, and just look for the announcements.
Professor, last question.
Yes.
So I emailed you about the last exam. I couldn't not able to join the exam. So it doesn't affect my marks, right? You said earlier it's just for the
consider
bonus.
5 out of 6. So if you're done 5 exams, I think you're fine.
Yeah, Professor. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, Professor, will you give the grading for the last exam, the one we gave yesterday?
Grade, I think it will be available soon. Like I'm not, yeah, maybe in 2 days.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so bye for today.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah, thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.